Good morning, friends. I hope everyone is doing well. I request everyone to watch my videos in a sequence for better understanding. If you really like my videos, please press the like button, share the videos with your friends, subscribe to my channel, and also press the bell button to get the regular updates. In the last video, we have discussed about what is the use of IP address and how to represent an IP address, and then even we have discussed about what is a classful IP addressing and what is a classless IP addressing. In this video, I will discuss about the classful addressing in detail. So I request everyone to watch the video completely for a better understanding. Okay, so the classful IP addressing, we have 5 classes. One is that class A, and then class B, class C, class D, and class E. Okay, now based on this class, we have a certain number of bits for the network ID and the host ID. How it is, we will discuss. When it comes to the class A, out of 32 bits, okay, because we are using the IP version 4. So, out of 32 bits, 8 bits are allocated for the network ID. Remaining 24 bits are allocated for the host ID. Are you able to follow it or not? When it comes to the class A, 8 bits are allocated for the network ID and 24 bits are allocated for the host ID. When it comes to the class B, out of 32 bits, 16 bits are allocated for the network ID and 16 bits are allocated for the host ID. Okay, when it comes to the class C, we have 24 bits are allocated for the network ID, 8 bits are allocated for the host ID. What is the meaning of this 8 bits are allocated for the network ID, 24 bits are allocated for the host ID? Means that if you have 8 bits for the network ID, how many networks you can generate? Using 3 bits, you can generate 8. Am I right or wrong? So similarly, if you have 8 bits, then how many networks you can generate? 2 power 8 networks you can generate. I'm just telling it, but when it comes to the reality, it will be less than that. But just I'm telling as an example for you. If you have 8 bits are there for the network ID, you can generate 2 power 8 networks you can generate. How many hosts will be there? Am I right? How many IP addresses will be there? Means how? Then you will have 2 power 24. Am I right? Because in one network, you have 24 bits are allocated for the host ID. So you can have 2 power 24 hosts will be there. But when it comes to the reality, it will be less than that. I will discuss. Don't worry. Okay, this is the theoretical concept I am telling. But when it comes to the practical, we will have 2 power 24 minus 2 will be there. And what is the 2 bits, means 2 IP address, where it will be gone, I will discuss all these things. You don't worry. Okay, so this is the theoretical concept. 2 power 24 hosts will be there, I am saying. But when it comes to the practical, we will have only 2 power 24 minus 2 hosts only will be there. These 2 IP addresses, where it will go also, I will discuss. Okay, is it clear? So if you have 16 bits are there for the network ID, you can generate 2 power 16 networks, and in each network you will have 2 power 16 hosts are there. Similarly, when it comes to the class C, you can have 2 power 24 networks are possible, and in each network you have 2 power 8 hosts are there. Now you can ask me, sir, class D and class E, you did not say how many bits are allocated for the network ID and how many bits are allocated for the host ID. We does not have any specific that these many bits are allocated for the network ID and these many bits are allocated for the host ID, because class D is used for multicasting. As you already know that we can have 3 types of communication. One is unicast, multicast and broadcast. So class D will be useful for multicasting and class E is used for future reference. Okay, for future, we have saved this class E IP addressing. Okay, so I hope you got the what is class A, class B, class C, class D and class C. Now you can ask me one thing, sir, I know all these things you have told, discussed just now, so I have understood. But let's take that someone has told me the IP address as 10.1.2.3. This is the IP address he has given, and he is asking me how many bits are there for the network ID, how many bits are there for the host ID, like in which class it belongs to, whether this IP address belongs to class A, whether this IP address belongs to class B, class C or class D, which one it will be. Now to understand or to know that one, you should know the ranges of each class. What is the ranges I will discuss now. Meaning is that if someone gives you some IP address, if you want to say how many bits are there in the network ID, how many bits are there in the host ID, to identify it, you should know the ranges. Okay, how to get the ranges also I will discuss. What is meant by range means, suppose let's take that you have 10.1.2.3. okay, by looking at the first octet, by looking at this 10 value 10, I can able to identify whether it belongs to class A, class B, class C. I can do it. Okay, so then once I identify whether if let's take that it belongs to class A, just for an example I am telling. Okay, then what I can say, as it is a class A, 8 bits are allocated for the network ID, 24 bits are allocated for the host ID. You can easily identify. If it is a class B, just an example I am telling. Okay, I know that it belongs to class A. If it is say that some IP address is I able to identify with by seeing this value, I have able to identify that it is belongs to class B. Then what I can say, 16 bits are allocated for the network ID, 16 bits are allocated for the host ID. So I could able to identify the network ID and host ID part. Am I right? Now we will discuss how to remember the ranges. Lot of people will by heart it, but I want my students not to by heart the concepts. They have to understand the concepts. So how to do it we will discuss. Now the class A IP address, as I said earlier, 8 bits are allocated for the network ID. Am I right? 24 bits are allocated for the host ID. Now when it comes to the network ID, we will take only a network ID. Okay. So, and that to first octet only we will see. As it is only one octet is there for network ID, so I am taking all the 8 bits. So out of this 8 bits, okay, of the network ID or the first octet, the first bit always will be fixed as 0 in class A. Okay, in class A, the first bit will be 0. When it comes to the class B, you please remember this one. Okay, class B, first 2 bits are fixed as 1 0. Class C, the first 3 bits are fixed as 1 1 0. Class D, it is fixed as 1110. Class E, 4 ones. Okay, to differentiate or to know the ranges, you should remember these values. Class A, first bit is fixed as 0, remaining 7 bits we can vary. And similarly, class B, out of 16 bits are there, first out of the 8 bits, because 16 bits are there for the network ID, first 2 bits are fixed as 1 0. And in class C, the first octet, 8 bits, the first 3 bits are fixed as 1 1 0. Class D as 1 1 1 0. Class E is 1 1 1 1. So what is the use of this one? You will understand now. So now it comes to the class A. Okay, I hope you noted down these points. Okay, coming to the class A, as it is fixed as a 0, the remaining 7 bits I can vary from all zeros to all ones. I can do it. Am I right or wrong? From all zeros to all ones I can do it. Now remember one more point. This all zeros, okay, and this is how much? 7 bits are there. So 7 bits is nothing but 2 power 7 minus 1. So which is 127. Even this also we will not consider. Okay, let me discuss again. Out of 8 bits, the first bit is fixed as 0, remaining 7 bits. Okay, oh, I written 8 bits here. No, I written 7 bits. Okay, so out of the 8 bits, the first bit is fixed as 0. The remaining 7 bits, either you can keep all zeros to so on, all ones. Then what will happen? This will represent, when I convert into decimal number, this will be 0 and this will be 127. Am I right or wrong? And in between you will have 1, 2, 3, so on, 126 to so on, 127 will be there. Are you getting the point? Now out of this 0 to 127, we will not consider this 0 and we will not consider this 127. Why it's so, I will discuss later. Okay, so class A range is 1 to 126. Meaning is that if you see any IP address, can I erase this one? Okay, so if you see any IP address A.B.C.D, if the first value comes in this range 1 to 126, then I can say that this IP address belongs to class A. Are you following it or not? Is it clear? So similarly, we will try to find out the class B range also. Okay. Now coming to the class B, out of the 16 bits, I am talking about the first octet, means first 8 bits I am talking. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. As you already said, the first 2 bits are fixed as 1, 0. Okay, first 2 bits are fixed as 1, 0. If first 2 bits are fixed as 1, 0, remaining 6 bits I can vary to all zeros to so on all ones. Am I right or wrong? Here also you will have 1, 0. Here also you will have 1, 0. So now if it is so, what will happen? Can you tell me what is this number? This is 128 plus 1, which is 129. Am I right? This is 129. Are you able to follow it or not? This is 128. If you convert into decimal number, you can easily say this is 2 power 0, 2 power 1, 2 power 2, 2 power 3, 2 power 4, 2 power 5, 2 power 6, 2 power 7. If you convert into decimal, which is 1 into 2 power 7 plus 0 into 2 power 6, 0 into 2 power 5, so everything will be 0 and you will get 128. Are you able to follow? And similarly, this is 128 plus 1, 129. And this is how much? 128. Okay, this is 128 and you have 6 ones. So 6 ones is nothing but 2 power 6 minus 1, which is equal to 63. So 128 plus 63 is 191. If you have a doubt, you can convert into decimal number. Okay, so you will have the 191. Are you able to understand? So the range of class B comes from 128 to 191. Now you can ask me, sir, when it comes to the class A, you left the 0 and you left the 127. Here why you are considering 128 and 191? Because when it comes to the class A, if I take the all zeros, because it was fixed as 0 here when it comes to class A, and all the 7 bits are 0, then totally 8 bits will 0. That's why I don't want to consider all the 8 bits are 0 in the network ID. We will use it for specific purpose. I will discuss it later. Similarly, that 127 also I did not consider. Why it is? It will be useful for loop back address, which is a special purpose address. Okay, so that's why class A will not come from 0 and 127. Is it clear? So class B range is 128 to 191. So if the first octet is showing as 128 or 191 to, means 128 to 191 range, then easily you can say that it belongs to class B. Now coming to the class C. Class C, out of the first 8 bits, okay, 3 bits are fixed as 110, then the remaining 5 bits can be vary from all zeros to all ones. Am I right or wrong? So these are fixed as 110. Now can you convert into decimal number? Yes, easily you can convert. This is 128 plus this is 64. Am I right or wrong? This is 2 power 0, 2 power 1, this is 2 power 2, 2 power 3, 2 power 4, 2 power 5, 2 power 6, 2 power 7. So 1 into 2 power 7 is 128 plus 1 into 2 power 6, which is how much? 2 power 6 is how much? 64. So 128 plus 64 is 192. So the starting range of class C is 192, and this one is how much? This is 192 plus 5 ones are there. So 2 power 5 minus 1, which is nothing but 31. So 192 plus 31 is equal to 223. Am I right or wrong? Okay. So the class C range is 192 to 223. Let me write here. Class C range is 192 to 223. Okay. Similarly, class E. So not class C, class D. Class D, the first 4 bits are fixed as 1110, and the remaining 4 bits can be vary from 000, 0001 to all ones. Okay, if 4 ones are there and these 3 ones 0, if I keep it in the starting, then what is the number in the decimal? 3 ones. This is 128 plus 64 plus 32. You do it, how much you will get? 224 you will get it. You can verify it also. Okay, 6 plus 8, 14, then 3, 9, 12, so you will get 224. So class D range will start from 224 to, and this is how much? 224 plus 2 power 4 minus 1, which is 15. So 239. Are you able to follow it or not? 224 to 239 will come to the class D. Now come to the class E. Class E is already the first 4 bits are fixed as 11111. Then remaining 4 bits can be vary from all zeros to so on, all ones can be there. Am I right or wrong? Okay. So if this is the 4 ones and 4 zeros, what it is? This is 128 because it is 2 power 7. This is 64. This is 32 and this is 16. If you add everything, you will get 240. So which will come in the range of 242, and this one is 255. So class E range is 240 to 255. So what I want to say from this one is that by looking at the first octet in the IP address, because the IP address is represented with the form of dotted decimal representation. Am I right or wrong? What is meant by dotted decimal representation? We will represent as A dot B dot C dot D, and these A, B, C, D are in the form of decimal number. So let me give a small example. Let's take the 200.1.2.3. So this is a one IP address I have taken. Suppose if someone gives the IP address like this and they have asked you how many network bits are there and how many bits are there in the host ID, because as you already know that IP address is classified into 2 parts, means it consists of 2 parts. One is the network ID and another one is the host ID. Network ID is useful for you to identify the network, and host ID is useful for identifying the host. So now you can see this first octet, if you see, what is the value? 200. So 200 means where? It comes in this category. Am I right? 192 to 223. So it comes in the class C. So if it comes to the class C, you can easily say that first 24 bits are allocated for the network ID and the remaining 8 bits are allocated for the host ID. So by looking at the first octet of the IP address, you can easily identify in which range it will fall. If it ranges to the class A, then you can say that 8 bits are allocated for the network ID. If it belongs to class B, you can say that 16 bits are allocated for the host ID and 16 bits are allocated for the network ID. If it is class C, 24 bits are allocated for the network ID and 8 bits are allocated for the host ID. I hope you have understood what is the classful IP addressing and what is the range for each class. If you still have any doubts related to this concept, feel free to ask me in the comment section. I will try to clear your doubts in less than 24 hours. Thank you for watching my video. Have a nice day.